Hey everybody, Aaron Haddon here. Thanks for tuning in to the next episode of The Outer Worlds. We sort of ended last note at a very brief and abrupt point, and I do apologize about that. But we're back now, and we should have a better grasp on what we need to do here. Or not really what we want to do, but how we want to do it. I picked up the same armor. There's stuff. I don't really. The ladder over here, though. Is not worth it. I don't. Actually, that does. Yeah, that's. Yeah, that might be really good, actually. See how it goes. And heading up the elevator here. We're gonna try sneaking if we can.
Like wrapped among the rocks.
Armor I didn't want again. Let me get rid of that. Wait, are these my people? They're my people. The colonist class? Oh yeah, I actually forgot about those. That's holy crap. Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Alright, that's pretty good. Some more ammo. Nice. Not a lot, actually, at all. On the elevator. Or up. I don't know. We've been going up. What is down here, though? I suck at picking stuff up. But that's okay.
Feeling legitimate, are you? Because
energy ammo, rather.
hold on. Take a breath now, folks. Once we're up there, I suspect we ain't gonna have time to stop shooting.
Captain, you have an uncanny talent for complicating my life.
Phineas.
You've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the natural order of things. You've introduced uncertainty, and there is nothing I despise more than uncertainty. I'm afraid I can't do that. For all your talents, you are the enemy of Halcyon, and therefore you are my enemy. You make a nuanced and compelling argument. Here's my rebuttal. No. Dr. Wells is being held in my custody. His cooperation will prove invaluable, even if I have to beat it out of him. All that's left to do is put down this riot arrest you, and then get on with the bloody business of saving this colony. Fair enough. I'm giving you exactly one chance to parlay with me.
Oh, my skills aren't going to be high enough.
This prison is equipped with an automechanical warden. I've had it programmed to eliminate you on sight and rinse your remains down a drain. And don't worry, I will inform Dr. Wells that you died heroically or something.
Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. Base health plus 25%, 20%. Weapons are all equipped. Trying to think here. I don't really think there's much I can do. Guess let me do a quick save of the game. I'm gonna resume. Oh wait. There was something about passwords we were reading earlier. This actually is not as tough as I thought it would be. Now it's a little bit harder. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this sucks. Well, Ram is down. That's good. Holy crap. I thought it was going to be a lot harder, honestly. Glad that we were able to one-shot him. Lots of energy ammo. Oh, nice. Okay. Well, oh, we went through a lot of heavy ammo. That's no good.
Why won't
Oh, that was easy.
Get me out of here!
Here we go. Let's see what's up. Phineas.
You made it. I can hardly believe my eyes. You didn't have to do this, you know. Risk your life just to save mine. I'm all right. Akande wanted my cooperation, and she was prepared to beat it out of me. If you hadn't arrived, I might have given it. You've left the board in tatters, but Halcyon is still on the verge of starvation. I just hope we're not too late. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated. Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
Hold on, Doc. Are you telling me the Earth went dark 3 years ago, and the board's just been covering this up?
They've been incredibly effective at concealing the truth. Right now, the only people in the colony who know are standing in this room.
So we've got to make do on our own. Seems to me that'll make us stronger in the end anyhow.
You're quite right. We've got no choice but to make do on our own. Earth isn't going to help us. No one's going to help us now. We're alone out here, and I don't know if we're going to survive. I had hoped your fellow colonists might hold the key to saving Halcyon, but I don't have nearly enough chemicals to revive them all. I'll do what I can. I just
Well, there's
hope
some
it's not too
more
late.
on here.
It's
I read
time I
on one
return
of the
to my lab.
logs.
I'll try to save as many of the Hope's colonists as I can. You're under no obligation to help me. You've done enough already.
Huh.
I only hope you know what you're getting into. There isn't much of a colony left to run. We were going to save this colony, you know. That's what I told myself when I pulled you from the Hope. You and I were going to set everything right. Now, I don't know what to think. Earth is gone, and we're going to need a miracle to survive another generation. I always suspected Halcyon might collapse one day. I just thought we would have more time.
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. As the colony struggled to survive, the inspirational story of the iconoclasts spread like wildfire, and Graham was able to bring many of the smaller Terra 2 townships into the fold. However, his zealous obsession with spreading the word blinded him to the needs of a growing organization, and the movement was unsustainable at scale. The iconoclast way seemed to work best, and ultimately petered out on Monarch.
Sorta
Adelaide
sucks.
McDevitt replaced Reed Thompson as the leader of Edgewater. She and her followers transformed Edgewater in their image. Anyone loyal to Reed was pressured into leaving town, and those who stayed behind adapted to her way of life. Adelaide transformed the old cannery into a new garden. The nearby Edgewater Cemetery provided a convenient source of fertilizer. It was said that the first corpse that fed her garden belonged to Reed Thompson. Junlei Tennyson fought to protect the Groundbreakers' independence. While the board's influence faded, mechanical difficulties forced her to rely on parts that only corporations could provide. The cost was high, and time would tell if Junlei could balance the work with her aspirations for a better future. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. Though Parvati eventually grew comfortable aboard the Unreliable, she never quite came out of her shell. She seemed to prefer the company of Ada to the crew, and she could often be found neck-deep in cables and grease, telling Ada funny stories from her childhood. While the colony fell into chaos, she found an island of relative peace with Ada, and they formed an unusual bond. She decided to remain aboard the Unreliable permanently as its chief and sole engineer. As hard as she tried to drink them away, Nyoka's memories eventually overcame her. Traveling with the crew served as a constant reminder of the family she'd lost, and so she eventually returned to Monarch to get back to what she found most comfortable: the deep end of a bottle and the far end of a trail. Few have seen her since, but travelers often swear they hear her and her machine gun in the night, screaming swears and spitting bullets. Before his untimely death, Captain Alex Hawthorne had plans to restore and modify, for combat purposes, a sanitation and maintenance automechanical that he'd found in a state of disrepair in Emerald Vale's scrapyard. That unit remains broken down and forgotten in the Unreliable supply closet to this day. Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He was never able to come to terms with his own past, troubled by the decision of placing all his faith in the first colonist he ever revived, the infamous captain of the Unreliable. The revival project yielded mixed results. Phineas, weighed down by limited support and his own guilt, struggled to revive more than a handful of scientists and engineers. They made a heroic effort to solve the colony's problems, but with small numbers and facing long odds, their solutions never caught on. Only a few of the Hope's colonists were successfully revived. Wells died before he could see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a haunted man, crushed by the guilt of his failures. Small, petty factions squabble over what remains of the colony. Every attempt to reach out to Halcyon's neighbors is met with silence. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? You brought an end to the chaos on Tartarus and proved yourself the most capable leader left in the colony. You administered the colony in your own image. With the old power of the board destroyed, a new government of Halcyon rose with you at its center. With your steady hand, you guided Halcyon through the turbulent years that were to follow, and helped ensure the survival of the colony until the end of your days. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
All right, well, that's it. We have beaten the Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds development team leads game directors Leonard Boyarsky, Timothy Kane, art director Daniel Alper, audio director Justin E. Bell, design director Charles Staples, production director Eric Melt, programming director Mark George, animation lead Sean Stewart, character art lead Omar Awaida, environmental art lead Terry Hess, level design lead Tyson Christensen, narrative design lead Leonard Boyarsky, QA lead Taylor. All right. Well, I can't really read through all these, but I do appreciate them for creating a really fun game. It wasn't really as long as I hoped it was going to be, but it was still fun nonetheless. And I do have plans for future playthroughs. One of them where I complete as many missions as possible. Sort of like a 100% type playthrough. And the other playthrough, which I think I'm a little bit more excited for, is going to be killing everybody. I don't think some people I'm going to be able to kill, but I will kill as many people as humanly possible and make the worst possible, actually not maybe possible, but allowable decisions. So, we'll see how that goes, but thank you for tuning in for the final installment for now of The Outer Worlds, and have a great day.